Let me begin with two big I was wrongs, okay? I was wrong. I was wrong on Texas. I was wrong on SC, all right? And the reason was because they both shored up their defenses. USC's got Bear Alexander is a disruptor. I don't know if you've got a good look at him, but he's playing zero technique and taking out two guys, and it's leaving the linebackers, and they got a freshman from Manny, Louisiana, played at the AA level, Tackett Curtis, who is just unreal. He can fly around, make plays, and Mason Cobb hasn't even played. He's been a little banged up, and Gentry, another good linebacker, is playing well. That's as good as a Grinch coach defense I have seen. Now, Stanford's not great. I'll give you that, and they're in transition too with Troy Taylor. But what I saw physically was nothing like anything that we witnessed from USC a year ago. And certainly Texas was throwing around Alabama's offensive line like rag dolls. Mm-hmm. So I was clearly wrong about who's this year's Texas A&M? Probably Texas A&M again. So I
had the wrong Timmy B, I'll say I picked Texas. I got Texas going to the playoff. I had them beating Bama. And number one, look, when you predict what's going to happen with 130-something teams, you're going to be right on some. You're going to be wrong on the others. I do disagree with you, though, on USC, not because they can't, but I don't think we know yet with USC.
No, you're right about that.
Yeah.
You're absolutely.
San Jose State, and I know it was the first game of the year, right? And first game of the year. I feel like San Jose State kind of pushed them around a little bit early in that game. Nevada, I mean, I trust Nevada about as much as I do Area 51 out there in that state. And then Stanford, if this was a math, a Rubik's Cube, or a reading contest with what they got going on out there, I'd believe it more. I think we'll know a little bit more about that defense. As crazy as it sounds, seeing with the Arizona State with Dillingham, which I'm with you. I know the Rashada kid is young, but he's going to continue getting better and better. I call Kenny Dillingham, he's Kevin McAllister. Just when they left him in the airport for 6 years, he was coming up with offensive plays. But maybe it's going to take them going to Colorado to find out if that defense, even though Colorado's offensive line is a little deficient, that one to me looks fascinating, Timmy B.
Yeah, it is. It is because Shedeur does put so much pressure on every aspect of your perimeter. There's no doubt about that. But the one thing that was missing from my point of view on USC last year was a down front. Okay, and now they've got some real dudes up there. And not just Bear. They got more than that. They're 2 and 3 deep. And Grinch is playing, 3 guys at every spot. So they're staying fresh. And I didn't see that in the past with USC. So, look, it's early, and sometimes we can overreact. But listen, and I'm the thing for Texas to me is now they've got to sustain it in the Big 12.
For sure.
All right. I heard you guys in the last hour talking about some of the teams that are out there that may be to some extent overlooked and lying in the weeds. And Kansas State is one of those teams. We just we haven't seen them play a quality foe just yet, but I think they're going to be a problem for Texas when they go in there. Same would be true for a couple of other teams in the Big 12 that I think a lot of the national media always overlooks. Mike Gundy's team is always dangerous when people don't think they're going to do well. Yeah. People don't think they're going to do well this year. And Kansas State is overlooked because of just their history.
They're not sexy. They don't play a sexy brand of ball. Kansas State is. Yeah, they're out there, working on their cars and making sure making sure dinner's on time. Yeah. Timmy B, I do want to say this really quickly. We led off Monday's show with Texas's biggest opponent right now is how they handle prosperity. Because again, it's everybody's telling them, patting them on the back. You guys are the greatest. Oh my God, you're going to be the team that brings Texas back. And Sark knows this. It's the most important thing for Texas today is waking up, eating a good breakfast, going to class, and every rep at practice getting ready for Wyoming. They have to take it one step at a time because that Big 12 will come up. I'm telling you, Texas Tech's not done yet. They may be 0-2, but Texas Tech's not. We have not heard the last from Texas Tech, I'm just telling you.
That's got to be the best winless team in the country.
For sure.
I mean, Wyoming, I don't know why. Kirby Hocutt, their AD, is a good friend. I don't know why you play Wyoming at Wyoming, but
no, I don't either. I don't either.
I didn't know why Ole Miss scheduled Tulane. By the way, Tulane, who I had, as you know, in my top 10, and they were going to be my fly in the ointment. If Pratt's not hurt, that game could have been different. I mean,
without a doubt,
it could have very easily been different. And they still had a chance with their backup late in that game. If they just make a couple of more plays, they had control of it for 2.5, almost 3 quarters. But when you're scheduling teams like that, non-conference, and you're in a league like the SEC, what has Ole Miss not gotten the memo from Georgia and Alabama on who you play non-conference? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know.
I know. You don't do that. And they have a tradition of playing Memphis. When Memphis is good, they were able to get past Tulane, which was good for Kiffin. The thing about Sark, you raise a great point. As much as we all like Sark, and he is one of the greatest play callers in the game today, he's not really won that many big games as a head football coach, okay? Hasn't had many upset victories in his career. This going all the way back to Washington, all right? Yeah. He hasn't. That was huge for not just the team, but for him, okay? So I would say not only is it important to see if Texas sustains, but how does Sark sustain, his success as a head football coach?
Yeah, maybe he needs to go on that silent retreat like Aaron Rodgers. He's just sitting in a cabin somewhere coming up with more of those ping combos out of condensed.
Darkness retreat.
You guys are evil.
Look, Texas winning in Tuscaloosa is cause for excitement. I get a huge win for them, and everybody was coming out of the woodwork on Twitter for you this weekend. Right. One of the criticisms I thought was unfair is saying that Timmy B just hates Texas, though. I mean, will you tell the Texas fans you don't hate Texas, right?
No. Again, that's the flag-waving pom-pom media, fans disguised as media, that go out and purchase a website and suddenly become members of the media. I'm not talking about you guys.
Yeah.
I'm talking about guys that just have no history, don't understand how close I was to the Texas program and followed not just Darrell Royal, but, after that, so many other fantastic coaches. And Bill Little, who was their sports publicist, was a dear friend of mine. He recently passed away. Ron Franklin, who also passed away, the great voice of ESPN, was Mr. Texas.
Ron was great.
I've got some deep-rooted relationships and friends with people at Texas, and it's great when they're back. I think it's wonderful when they're relevant. But they have been, since 2009, one of the most underperforming programs in college football. And that's not just a trend, it was a pattern. Mm-hmm. They weren't getting players. They weren't getting offensive linemen. They weren't tough. Now they are.
Tailgating time.
TGing
going out there, TGing with the boys. You need to have good American meat, okay? And Good Ranchers, great ranchers, more like it. All right? We're always talking about how good it is, right? Whether it's the chicken, you got that pork box, which you said is absolutely hitting.
Yeah.
Like Shohei, even with the mess.
Bone-in pork chops, man.
The beef.
They're gone now.
The steaks. Ate a New York strip the other night, made me want to strip.
Wow.
To be honest with you,
Did you?
So good. No, I didn't. Well, not in public. But that's all we love, Good Ranchers. They source the best meat in America. They deliver it right to your door. And even better, right now, everybody buckle up for this one. They're offering 2 years of free ground beef to anyone who subscribes. 2 years of free ground beef, people. I don't know another way to give you a better offer. That's a $480 value when you subscribe, okay? You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to figure this mystery out. It's a great deal. So not only are you going to get the best cuts of meat from a trusted 100% American source company, they're not bringing this over from Prague.
It's in PlayStation, dog.
Yeah, this isn't coming in from the Arctic Circle. This is coming straight from the good old USA. That's 2 years of free high-quality ground beef and a locked-in price. Nobody else is dropping the bag on you like that. So go to goodranchers.com today. Use our code BOOSTER, and you'll get $25 off a box and free ground beef for 2 years. Remember, subscribe to any box to lock in that price on America's best meat for 2 whole years as well. That's goodranchers.com today and use our code BOOSTER for over $500 human American dollars in savings. Subscribe to Good Ranchers, American meat delivered. It's the deal of your life.
And listen, I think a lot of times, and the fans better be wary of this, at Texas. Yeah, revel in the victory. It was big to beat Alabama, but Alabama's got problems. Okay, remember that. LSU really got excited about beating Bama at Bama last year and then spit the bit, couldn't take care of A&M late. And they were in a position, they were poised to have a shot at the playoff with 2 losses. They got ranked as high as number 5, before losing that game in College Station. So, yeah, you're great. You're playing at a very high level. But just beating Saban and beating him in Tuscaloosa does not mean your season is done. You got a lot of wood left to chop.
Yeah.
And before you start talking about being ready for the SEC, how about winning the Big 12 for the first time in a while?
Yeah, and your statement before on our show was this year's Texas is last year's Texas A&M. Well, I remember Texas A&M 2 years ago also beat Alabama. Now, granted, that game was out there at Kyle Field,
number 5 in the country.
But hey, Texas still has a lot of meat on the bone to chew. You got the Red River Shootout you're going to play, 4 different Texas teams in your own state, 3 of them on the road. So either way, I think they're the real deal. But still, your statement could prove to be true if they don't handle their business. One thing I did want to ask you, the biggest story in college football early this week is Mel Tucker at Michigan State. Mel Tucker suspended without pay due to an inappropriate relationship with a sexual assault advocate. Sounds like they're not going to make a final decision until this hearing plays out, which is going to be October 5th or 6th. How's this going to work out for Mel Tucker and the Michigan State football team moving forward with former coach Mark D'Antonio coming back to assist?
Well, I love the idea of bringing D'Antonio back. I think that's smart, and it's something I'm sure a lot of Michigan State fans are saying, well, thank God we were able to do and pull this off and maintain our relationship with Coach D'Antonio. Spencer and I were just there a couple of weeks ago for that Friday game against Central Michigan, and in week 1, after our week 0 game out in San Diego, everyone here is a loser. Okay, everyone here looks really bad. Tucker does not look like the leader we all thought Mel was. And full disclosure, I'm a big Mel Tucker guy. He's a guy that you really want to root for. He's stoic, unlike Deion Sanders. He's stoic, but he's got a lot of substance to him in terms of the way he wants to build a program. And I think that's one of the reasons why Kirby took him away from Nick, and he followed Kirby to Georgia before getting the job at Colorado and then left. The move from Colorado in 1 year is something that follows a coach, a little like it followed, remember Graham at Arizona State? Remember that whole Pitt thing that happened with him? That'll follow you as a coach, and not in a good way. But what happened here, if this bizarre, and it is a bizarre story, probably the most bizarre I've ever come across in the modern era of college football. The people have brought up the Hugh Freeze thing and the 900 number and all that. This is well beyond and even darker, in my opinion. If what we're seeing alleged is true to any extent whatsoever, but for him to have been in that situation and then to admit it during the investigation, and this is the issue for me. Clearly, the activist, although she may well have been well-meaning, there are issues clearly with her too, without a doubt. But he is the leader of men. He is the guy that's in charge of a multi-million-dollar program who just got a huge raise to $9.5 million per. And to that end, regardless of what his issues at home domestically might be, that may be none of any of our business. But if, in fact, he was completely estranged and his family was already aware, his estranged wife was already aware, he's having a conversation at 12:30 at night on a call that he didn't make. Okay, is this cause? Is this a show cause for Michigan State? I don't know. Okay, and that's what he's alleging. The only thing good I saw from Mel Tucker was his return statement. Okay, that clearly he got some legal help with from his lawyers. In that return statement, he was pretty clear as to what he admitted to. Stunningly so. Those were stunning admissions to see in print that USA Today got. The school here, in my opinion, looks from an administrative standpoint as culpable as the coach.
Mm-hmm.
They were aware. They conducted an investigation that was wrapped up in late July, and yet they felt that the suspension was not worthy of taking place. Why? I'd say their priorities have to come into question, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've put the players, the quote student athletes that we care so much about, you put them and their families in peril, because all of a sudden, a couple of weeks into the season, they've lost their leader. And they got a ton of recruits that are from the portal. They got people that committed to that school because of Mel Tucker. And now they are lost. The one genuine thing I felt from the statement that Tucker made was, he feels awful that they are on a rudderless ship right now. And sure, I'm sure they're thankful that they got Antonio to turn to. Now, whether I can't imagine him coaching there again. This is just an opinion. I can't imagine him coaching there again. But I certainly can't imagine that the show cause may not be in play here.
Mm-hmm.
They may be. They may have a hard time.
$77 million. I mean,
they may have a hard time. Now, listen, what he did was not a crime. A morals clause is not. You don't have to commit a crime to lose your job. If you violate a morals clause, I get all of that. That's legal jargon, but I get all of that. But the reality here is, everyone in a leadership role, Mel's decision making, clearly the activists, quote unquote, speaker is questionable at best, and the school's administration in the manner in which they handled this, poor, beyond poor. So it's one of those tawdry, terrible college football stories where once again leadership lacked in every phase of this particular story.
Yeah, it's a crazy deal. The one part I don't understand is, why don't you just hang up the phone?
Yeah.
That's the
question
part
a lot of people
I don't
asking.
understand. But there'll be more that comes out. It just smells funny. I mean, bad decision making across the board, in my opinion. Like you said, everybody's a loser here. But there's not any losers in the Booster Club. At least I don't think so right now.
Yeah.
There's not. Timmy B, we're going to go to the bacon eater, the man who loves bacon, and he wants to know.
He wants to eat it.
Yeah, with the SEC struggling against other Power 5 conferences, is the SEC still the strongest conference?
It's becoming a little more debatable, isn't it? I think it is. When the rubber hits the road, it's about how are you faring with your non-conference record, and they ballyhoo it when it's in their favor. It's not right now. The Pac-12, what did they get to, 19-0 at one point?
Yeah,
I believe they were.
Before Arizona and Cal lost, I think it was 19-0.
And Arizona gave Mississippi State all they wanted.
They did. Hell, Cal gave Auburn every bit they wanted.
And Cal gave Auburn all they wanted. Listen, the Pac-12 in its final year is seriously making waves. Now, they may cannibalize when they start playing each other. I'm with you, Jake. As you know, I have Oregon high. The one that I've got high and right now in my top 10, I've got them ranked number 10, Oregon State. I think they're vastly underrated.
If DJU can do it, Timmy B, if DJU can do it and make those tight throws against tight coverage when they're so good up front on both sides of the ball. And I'm a big Jonathan Smith guy, man. I'm a big Jonathan Smith guy.
As I am with DeBerry at Washington, and you look at Penix, they could scorch Michigan State, absolutely scorch them. Yeah, I think the SEC right now better come to grips, and their fan base better come to grips with the fact that you may not be all that this year. And listen, it's cyclical. As long as you wear the crown, and you still do, Georgia can carry you, no question, but Alabama's not Alabama. We're certainly not sure about LSU physically at this stage. Blowing out Grambling is not enough. They did step on the jugular. I know that's what Brian Kelly wanted to see. But they've got to prove themselves now against a quality opponent. And it's going to be a while before Mississippi State will tell us a lot. I think Mississippi State is a dangerous game for them. But, yeah, I think the SEC is Blaine. Right now, I'm going to say they're still king for the moment, but the crown may be slipping big time.
Yeah. Well, Timmy B, the crown never slips from your head on here, man.
Facts.
You always deliver. It's an Uber Eats situation. We love having you on, man. Tell everybody again where they can find you and Spencer this weekend. I know you got a 2 for next week as well, but we always appreciate you taking some time from Chateau Brando.
Well, my pleasure, guys. You know how much I think of what you do. And,
Same here.
I need a sluggo route next time from you, Cone.
Yeah,
that was the can. That was the can portion.
Stop and go sluggo, route. Okay, give me one of those.
We called it slush, sluggo scene slush.
But Texas Tech is, by the way, we mentioned 0-2, but the best 0-2.
Yeah.
And you're right, there are big wins left for Joey McGuire, and they could be a real spoiler down the road. Texas better keep an eye on them when they get together. I love this Houston TCU game because Holgerson's got a lot of heat on him after losing to Fried Rice.
I know.
Right there in Houston.
I mean, golly, I hope y'all don't play beans.
They spot him. They spot him 28. Come from behind, send the game to overtime, and then drop it to Rice.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm sure Mr. Fertitta wants to see a W in that first Big 12 game against TCU, and the Horned Frogs can't afford to slip. They need to reestablish their credibility. Yeah, you know what, fellas? They lost a lot of close games last year. Excuse me. They won a lot of close games last year. But I'm still a believer in Chandler Morris. And even though those receivers are new, I think the TCU offense is going to be just fine. But we've got that one in prime time on Fox Saturday night. And then the following week, we mentioned we're going to be in the Big Ten for some Friday night lights. Wisconsin's got to bounce back. The Wazoo loss, I think, surprised a lot of people at Camp Randall, but they got to play well at Purdue and get on the winning side in the Big Ten. And then we're off to the desert to see SC one more time against Arizona State. So Pac-12 after dark, Friday night lights next week, going back to Houston this week.
All right, appreciate it, Timmy B. Yeah, Houston cost me a 10-legger. We'll talk to you soon, my friend. Safe travels.
You got it, fellas. All the best.
All right. One of our faves, Tim Brando, always great. Hey, YouTube, appreciate you checking us out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button as well on the video, and turn that notification bell on. We'd really appreciate it.